So, there are many great countries that people go to in Europe. Maybe you're from Europe yourself, or maybe you visited. And there are lots of countries people tend to talk about when referring to Europe. They say France, UK, Germany, Italy, Spain. But they generally don't say, is Kosovo. It's quite a mysterious country. Partially recognised states south of Serbia. There are tensions on the border with Serbia, who claims it to be a part of its own country. It doesn't even have its own centralised currency and uses a mixture of the Serbian dinar and the euro, despite the fact that this country is not even in the European Union. This area of the world was ruled by the Ottomans for a very long time. And so, the majority religion in this region, unlike most countries in Europe, is Islam. I don't really know what to expect about going to this place. To be honest, I don't really know why I'm going in the first place. But I'm very looking forward to finding out. So, join me as we venture to possibly the least known country in Europe. Okay, so just going to the gate now. Very beautiful here, Stansted. Getting on a little bus. So, one thing that holds people back about this region is it's actually very complicated history. I don't really understand a lot of it. I'm trying to read up on it. But the basic lowdown is no, it's this way. The basic lowdown is, right guys, so back in the communist days, Kosovo was part of Yugoslavia, which was basically just a made-up country because the South Slavs had just been ruled by other powers for pretty much since the Middle Ages, like the Ottomans, the Habsburg Empire, I think possibly Austria-Hungary as well. So they'd always been subjects to a higher power, politically. But after the First World War, when these lands were granted to the Allied powers, and there was a big recarving of Europe, the Allied powers, so that's like Britain, France, America, they just decided to give the southern Slavic countries their own country, the southern Slavic peoples. What a great idea, how nice of them. The problem is that rather similar to what's happened in Africa. The sort of geographical boundaries that might seem natural to a British person or a French person who doesn't understand the region, or didn't understand the region at the time. Those boundaries there's a lot of nuance in identity of the people in that region, and the result is it's much more complicated than just thinking, oh, they're all Southern Slavic people, let's just box them together in one country, as we'll see. So, it would be like saying, oh, the Irish and the English are basically the same. An Irishman would be hopping mad if you said that to them, and as would an English person, probably. There's a lot of nuance that we don't take into account. And maybe that's forgivable, it's difficult to understand these things. So, anyway, back to my story. Yugoslavia, post-war, post-First World War, becomes a communist country, divided into different ethnicities of Yugoslavs. And that's the other thing, Yugoslavia just means Southern Slav. This communist country divided into different factions, and as I understand it, I think Kosovo was in fact its own faction in Yugoslavia, like in the UK, or Wales, Britain, so there was Serbia, Kosovo, Bosnia, Croatia, Slovenia, all regions that roughly resemble modern borders, which makes things very easy for us. So, for a while, Yugoslavia, things went quite well. Tito was in power, who was, as I understand it, a very popular leader. It was a communist country, it was under Stalin's sphere of influence, but Tito was very much loved by his supporters, by his people, and Tito he wasn't very Stalinist, he was quite moderate in his policies, he looked towards the West a lot more, which was a good thing for, which people liked. But the big problem that everyone was ignoring was that ultimately people would not surrender their national identity. They didn't like the idea of just being Yugoslavian or Yugoslav. They wanted to be Bosnian or Croatian or Kosovan. So this is a big problem. And when Tito died, things slowly spiraled out of control, and there was a lot of war. And that's probably what most people think of when they think of Kosovo, if they think of it at all, is they just think of terrible war. And that's basically what happens. Lots of wars, and the respective national groups went their separate ways and formed their own countries. However, Bosnia, Kosovo was still subject to Serbia after the war, after the sort of civil wars. But the problem is that Kosovans actually, for the large part, were Albanian speakers. They didn't speak Serbian. And so in the early 2000s, Kosovo broke away from Serbia. They said, we're going to become our own country now. And Serbia didn't like this at all. And to this day, the Serbian government refuses to recognise Kosovo. So it's still seen by the Serbian government officially as being an area in Serbia, which is remarkable. And yeah, some countries don't actually recognise it. Spain doesn't, because of Catalonia. Greece doesn't. Russia doesn't. So it's quite an interesting place. Bro, just landed in Budapest. Just got just about an hour to get a transfer to Tirana. From there, I'm gonna find a bus to Pristina. Quite interesting being in Hungary because a lot of people say, Hungary's Eastern Europe. But the Hungarians themselves really see themselves as Central Europe, which is quite interesting. So, yeah, I think there is something about being in, like, the far, far east, that is, Belarus, Ukraine, Russia, Moldova. Something about these countries that there's something about them that you just don't get in this part of Europe, Eastern though it still feels to an Englishman. So, Tirana's very nice. I actually got the bus from the airport, and then kind of got a bit lost. Well, I don't really know what to stop to get off at. And then got off at the centre, and this Albanian woman who I'd spoken to a bit on the bus was just like, oh, me and my brother will help you find your way back. So I kind of, not gonna lie, kind of knew where I was going anyway, and kind of wanted to walk, but they told me to take a bus, and they waited for me to get the right one. So I thought, you know what, nice walk through Tirana's gonna have to wait. But I was very touched they did that. Nothing in it for them. I think when people think of Albania, they usually think of like taken, like you know, quite standoffish people. And I don't know, maybe that was a good apple and a bad batch. But I think Albanians seem really nice, really friendly. Don't take themselves too seriously, you know. I mean, you would never, ever get that happen in England. No one would ever have the courage, or the foresight, or the willingness to help a foreigner find their way across London or something. It would just never happen. This. And it's very beautiful bus stop at the moment. It's our bus back there. Just realised I don't have any internet on me, and it's a 4-hour bus journey, so I'm gonna get quite bored. But I didn't really sleep last night because there's no flights, so hopefully I'll just sleep through it. Over here we have our destination. There you go, Kosovo. Beautiful flag, beautiful flag.